You're listening to Briargrave Radio. Horror stories from the places the map forgot. I woke up with a hospital bracelet on my wrist. That was the first sign something was wrong. I'd gone to bed in my apartment, alone, exhausted, still wearing the same clothes I'd worn to work. But when I opened my eyes, I was lying on a narrow bed with stiff white sheets, surrounded by pale blue curtains that swayed gently in the air-conditioned draft. The bracelet was tight around my wrist, the plastic cold against my skin. It had my name printed on it, my date of birth, a barcode, but no admission date, no doctor's name, no hospital logo, just blank spaces. I sat up slowly, my heart pounding. The room was silent except for the faint hum of fluorescent lights overhead. The air smelled like antiseptic, sharp, sterile, artificial. I pulled back the curtain. The ward was empty. Rows of identical beds stretched out in both directions, each one perfectly made, each one unoccupied. The lights flickered softly, casting long shadows across the polished floor. I stood up, my legs trembling. "Hello?" I called out. My voice echoed through the ward, bouncing off the walls. No answer. I walked toward the nearest exit sign, my footsteps unnervingly loud in the silence. The hallway outside was long and narrow, lined with closed doors. The walls were painted a pale, sickly green. The floor tiles were spotless, reflecting the overhead lights like a mirror. I tried the first door. Locked. The second. Locked. The third. Locked. I felt a chill crawl up my spine. Hospitals aren't supposed to be empty. Hospitals aren't supposed to be silent. Hospitals aren't supposed to lock every door. I checked my phone. No signal. No Wi-Fi. No time displayed. Just a black screen that refused to turn on. I kept walking. At the end of the hallway, I found a nurse's station. The desk was immaculate. No papers, no pens, no computers. Just a single clipboard lying in the center. I picked it up. The top sheet was a patient chart. My chart. Status, under observation. Notes, subject exhibits no awareness of prior procedures. Continue monitoring. No doctor's name, no initials, just a dash. My hands began to shake. I hadn't been admitted. I hadn't been treated. I hadn't undergone any procedures. So why was I here? I set the clipboard down and turned to leave. That's when I heard it. A soft, rhythmic tapping. Not footsteps, not machinery. Tapping. Coming from behind one of the locked doors. I froze. The tapping continued. Steady, deliberate, like someone drumming their fingers on a table. I stepped closer. The tapping stopped. Silence. Then a whisper, so faint I almost thought I imagined it. "Come back." I stumbled backward, my breath catching in my throat. The voice wasn't mine. It wasn't anyone's. It sounded wrong, like someone trying to imitate speech without understanding how. I turned and ran. I found a stairwell at the end of the corridor. The door opened easily, and I hurried down the stairs, my footsteps echoing in the concrete shaft. The stairwell seemed endless. Floor after floor passed by. Level 3, Level 2, Level 1, ground, basement, sub-basement. I stopped at sub-basement. The door was slightly open. A faint light flickered inside. I pushed the door open slowly. The room beyond was large and dimly lit, filled with medical equipment I didn't recognize. Tall metal frames with wires dangling from them. Tables covered in instruments that gleamed under the fluorescent lights. Machines that hummed softly, their screens displaying lines of code instead of vital signs. In the center of the room was an operating table, and on the table was a body. My body. I staggered backward, my vision blurring. It wasn't a corpse. It wasn't a mannequin. It was me. Same face, same hair, same scar on my left shoulder. But the chest wasn't rising. The eyes weren't open. The skin was pale, almost translucent. I approached slowly, my breath shaking. The body was connected to wires. Thin, silver strands that disappeared into the machines. The monitors displayed no heartbeat, no brain activity, no vitals. Just a single word. Processing. I reached out to touch the body. The moment my fingers brushed the skin, the machines shut off. The lights flickered. The air grew colder. Then I heard it. Breathing. Not from the body. From behind me. Slow. Deep. Measured. I turned. A figure stood in the doorway. Tall. Thin. Wearing a surgical gown and mask. But the mask wasn't shaped for a human face. It bulged in strange places, indented in others. The figure tilted its head slowly, as if studying me. I backed away, my heart pounding. The figure took a step forward. The lights flickered violently. The machines hummed back to life. The body on the table twitched. I ran. I sprinted up the stairs, taking them two at a time. The lights flickered overhead, the hum growing louder, deeper, almost like a heartbeat. When I reached the ground floor, I burst through the stairwell door and stumbled into a long corridor. But it wasn't the same corridor. The walls were darker, the lights dimmer, the air colder. The hospital was changing. I ran down the hallway, trying every door. Locked, locked, locked. I reached the end of the corridor and found another nurse's station. This one was older, the desk scratched and worn. Papers were scattered across the surface. I grabbed the top sheet, another patient chart, my chart. But the notes were different. Subject is aware, subject is resisting. Proceed to phase 2. My hands trembled. I dropped the chart and backed away. That's when I heard the intercom crackle to life. A voice, flat, emotionless, distorted. Return to your room. I shook my head. The voice repeated. Return to your room. The lights flickered. The hallway darkened. The air grew colder. I ran. I don't know how long I wandered the hospital. The corridors twisted in impossible ways, looping back on themselves. Doors that had been locked were suddenly open. Rooms that had been empty were now filled with equipment. At one point, I found a window. Outside was nothing but darkness. No city, no sky, no world, just black. As if the hospital existed in a void. I kept moving. Eventually, I found a door marked exit. I pushed it open. Behind it was my apartment, my living room, my couch, my coffee table, exactly as I'd left it. I stepped inside cautiously. The door closed behind me. I turned. The door was gone, just a blank wall. I collapsed onto the couch, shaking. I was home. I was safe. I fell asleep almost instantly. When I woke up, the hospital bracelet was still on my wrist. And there was a new one beside it. Same name, same date of birth, same barcode, but this one had a note printed on it, phase 2 complete. I tore it off and threw it across the room. My phone buzzed. The screen flickered on. A notification appeared. Appointment confirmed today, 3:17 a.m. No address, no details, just a dash, the same dash from the chart. I dropped the phone. The hum started again, faint at first, then louder, coming from the walls, from the floor, from inside my own chest. I looked down. A third bracelet was forming around my wrist, growing, tightening, sealing itself. I tried to pull it off. It wouldn't budge. The hum grew louder. The lights flickered. The room darkened, and then I heard it. A whisper. Soft. Close. Inside my ear. Return to your room. This has been Briargrave Radio. If tonight's story stayed with you, subscribe before the next signal comes through. And remember, not every place wants to be found.